You're thinking of selling your house soon and you're sat at home and wondering, is there anything I can do before my house goes on the market that'll help? Here we're going to talk about some practical tips that you can take to ensure that that moving process is as smooth as possible. Now, the first thing I'm going to suggest is that you speak to an estate agent to come and value your home. Now, I know what you're thinking, Phil, aren't you an estate agent? Yes, I am. But it's not about me coming to see you, it's about what's going to give you the best advice moving forward about selling your home, and that starts with speaking to a local expert. Initially on evaluation, what that will give you is an indication of the correct value for your home and also what those estate agents' costs might be. I've already covered in another video on our channel about how you can decide if the pricing is fair, so you can speak to your estate agent about that and you can challenge them on the data they're using to try and make sure that that valuation is as accurate as possible and you know how much money you're likely to be coming away with from the sale of your home. This is good because it can help you fill in the equations of all the different numbers that you'll need, the finances involved in your move. Another indication that they can give you is about their costs too that can go into that costing for your move. Now, whilst we're talking about costs, this is a chance to put together a list of things that you might need to budget for as part of your move. That could include stamp duty costs. To work these out, there's a simple calculator that you can use on Rightmove's page as a stamp duty calculator. Make sure you could take a look at how much you'll need to spend on stamp duty when selling. Others to include could be removals costs. It could be a storage unit to keep some items in whilst you're moving temporarily from one place to another. You may wish to budget for a survey on the next place that you're moving to. Another couple of things that you may wish to budget for are some temporary accommodation between the house that you're selling and the next place that you're moving to. Obviously, ideally you can move from one place to another, but sometimes the timings aren't quite going to work out. So perhaps setting aside some money that you can use for somewhere temporary in between, or speaking to friends and family who might be able to assist with this. And as well as this, conveyancing costs are a big part of it. Speaking to your solicitors and finding out the legal costs and implications is a big step that you can take early on too. Now, going back to the agent coming to visit you to talk about the potential move, another good reason for this is because they are a local expert who understands what's going on in the market around you, and they can give you some indications on how long the property might take to sell based on other similar properties they might be selling nearby, how the market's doing generally in the area, whether things are moving quickly, moving slowly. They can also give an indication on when the right time of year might be to move, whether waiting a couple more months to catch a summer rush of buyers rather than selling in the middle of winter time where there are less buyers looking at that time of year. Knowing the best time of year to sell can help you get the best results, whether that's about getting the highest price when selling or selling in the quickest timescale too. Now, I'll stop talking about estate agents shortly, but one other thing that they can do on their visit is give you advice on how best to present your home for marketing. This might be about staging the home, styling the home, any things you can do in preparation to make sure it's going to look at its best. It could be decluttering, depersonalization. We've done some other videos here at Storeys, so check out our channel if you want to take in some more tips on how you can make sure the presentation of your home is maximised. The next thing I want to talk about is an EPC. Now, an EPC is an Energy Performance Certificate. These are a legal obligation of any seller in the UK when selling their property, that it has an up-to-date EPC, a valid EPC. Now, an EPC lasts for 10 years, so if you're planning to move in the next 10 years, then it makes sense to do one now because it can be done in preparation for you move and give you greater flexibility of what's to come rather than trying to rush it at the last second. Another good reason for doing it early is that an EPC can also give you an indication on any improvement works that you can do to a property to help make sure it's more efficient, but also it might give you some early insights into some of the things that may come up on a potential buyer survey when you're selling your property, and see if you can do anything to rectify those in advance to save you money in the long run when a buyer tries to perhaps chip them away after a survey. So doing an EPC in advance can be a good step too. Following on from the EPC, another thing that you can look at before you sell your home is about the services and the documentation. It's about making sure everything's in good working order. Have you had a recent electrical inspection? Has the boiler been regularly serviced? Did you get a sign off from building regulations when you did that extension a few years ago? Making sure you have all the right paperwork and that you've checked all these things out before you come to sell can save you a lot of time and money in the long run. These are all information and documents that the solicitors will need to make sure that your sale can progress smoothly when the time comes. Speaking of solicitors, that's the final thing I want to talk to you about today. If you're committed to moving, then it's worth starting that process early before you move, to talk to solicitors, get some quotes, decide who you might like to use. In terms of deciding who you might like to use, now everybody has their own preferences on this, and it can be quite a difficult thing to decide. If you've got a prior existing relationship with a solicitor, that can be helpful. Personally, I prefer to use a local firm rather than sort of a more factory-based conveyancing firm. That helps to have a solicitor who's going to apply a bit of compassion and understanding to your own intentions with the move. Now, once you've decided on a solicitor, you can then get started on filling in the initial paperwork. Now, I know this isn't fun, but it's all about doing the right thing to save you time and effort in the long run. If you can fill out the initial paperwork early, it means that on the day that the memorandum of sale gets sent out, your solicitor can also send out the draft contract. This is handy because it can save you 2 or 3 weeks, and given that across selling a home, the average legal timescales are around 5 months, if you can be one of the ones that happens a bit quicker and a bit more efficiently than that, then it's worthwhile doing. Now, I hope these bits of advice have been useful for you if you're thinking about selling your home anytime soon. If you're looking for more advice, you're in the right place. Subscribe to our channel, ring the notification bell to make sure you hear when our next videos are coming out, and check back soon, and I'll see you on the next video.